Heroes, villains, a tale as old as time, and the never-ending battle to protect truth and justice from those who thrive on chaos and bloodshed. Come with us as we peel back the mask on your beloved Crusaders of Light and dive deep into the dark and twisted abyss of your most feared and hated harbingers of doom. Follow your host, Power Maximus, and everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage, as they take a trip down the rabbit hole that is everything super. So, are you a hero or a villain? Either way, find that super suit and suit up for the Super Breakdown.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Super Breakdown. I'm just playing. I'm Power Maximus. We're here with everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage, and the man, the myth, the Dark Lord himself, Dark Legacy, Jason M40. What is up, my party people? How
What's
y'all
up?
been?
Chilling.
What's up?
All right. We got an interesting episode for y'all today. Uh it's I say interesting because we got a lot of layers to peel back on this one. So if y'all haven't seen, I know the post went up a little bit late, but this week we are going over the Thanagarians themselves, Hawkman and Hawkgirl, or as I call her Hawkwoman because I feel like calling a woman a girl is very demeaning, but Hawkwoman as well, which I never understood why they went with Hawkgirl instead of Hawkwoman. Because you got Hawkman, it would just make sense if you said Hawkwoman. You know, they got Batwoman. Why not Hawkwoman? You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
All right. But yeah, so I'm gonna refer to her as Hawkwoman. But yeah, so we're gonna be going over their origins as always is what we do here. We break down your favorite characters, break down your favorite movies, TV, comic book. If y'all ever want to hear, one of your favorite characters broken down, if we haven't broken them down already, if you want to hear one of your favorite storylines broken down, those might take a little bit because we want to make sure we do our research, read all the issues, know what the hell we're talking about when we talk about it. Just let us know. Hit us up on our Instagram. Hit us up on our Facebook. Always, you can always drop a comment. Always drop a DM. We'll look into it, and if your character gets picked, we'll let you know so you can tune into the episode. But yeah, no. So Hawkman and Hawkwoman. What is everyone's overall knowledge of these two characters? For me myself, it's not incredibly extensive, but I know enough that I can hold a real nice conversation. Jay, what about you?
I honestly do not know that much about Hawkman and Hawkwoman. I mean, I know the basics.
Mm.
I think that overall, or their portrayal, the type of character they are, and what they can do, I think is pretty cool.
Mm. Well, that's good. It's going to be an educational episode, and honestly, that's why I like this show too. Because like, if one of us doesn't necessarily know a lot about a specific character, but the others do, it's an educational episode. Because now we're all sitting here learning a little something new.
Absolutely.
Triage, what about you? Because we all know that your knowledge of heroes is leagues above ours. But what you got?
So there is two major stories that I know of as far as the Hawks go.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one takes place in ancient Egypt, where an Egyptian prince by the name of Khufu, along with his partner, I always missay it how they spell it, but it translates roughly into Shaira, come across a Thanagarian warship that had crashed in the deserts of ancient Egypt. And while discovering, they wound up discovering the material known as nth metal.
Now, I want to touch on that later because for those who don't know, nth metal is and one of them. What I say recent? Yeah, in a recent run on the Justice League, nth metal plays a really big role in I believe it was Dark Knights and Dark Knights Metal, if I'm not mistaken. Those two stories, because it was Dark Knights, and then Dark Knights Metal was like the part 2 to that comic book run. Massive, huge comic book run, expanding, all of the Justice League, all the main members of the Justice League, as well as, and then so literally the first Dark Knights has an issue run for each of the main members of the Justice League, and then Dark Knights Metal has the same thing. So that is a lot of comics in that run. So yeah, I'll definitely touch on that later. What's the second one?
So the second one is that, and they actually tied these two together. So the second one is that you had two Thanagarian officers who are actually chasing a criminal who was a shapeshifter from their homeworld of Thanagar, who wound up coming to Earth. And it's supposed to be that in the process of these Thanagarian policemen basically on this manhunt while searching for this criminal, that the original Hawkman and Hawkwoman, or Khufu and Shaira, wound up reincarnating into the Thanagarians.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
Okay.
I didn't come across. I don't know why I didn't come across that one. Because one of the ones I came across was that was a Carter. Well, he's had multiple different names, from Qatar Hall to, and then the Earthling Carter Hall. But from what I've been getting from the overall concept of these two characters is reincarnation. So I feel like with this, they got to lock me down. So also what I've been noticing is that there's so many different, when it comes to Hawkman specifically, because they've always kind of written Hawkgirl, in this situation I'll say Hawkgirl, as kind of like his sidekick in a way, until she does eventually get her own full-fledged story run and does end up flushed out fully as a character. As we all know and love, Shire Hall from Justice League. That's my Hawkgirl, Hawkwoman. Yeah. She, when anyone brings up, oh, Hawkgirl, my mind first thing goes to the Justice League version of the character. Same thing with Hawkman. But I don't know. I find these characters, well, until recently, with Hawkman, until we have Mr. Idris Hodge portraying Hawkman. Now that's the Hawkman I think of now when people say Hawkman.
Yes, I concur.
So Triage, if you wouldn't mind, let's break down that first one about Prince Khufu. And them finding the Thanagarian ship crash.
Okay, so basically, while traveling through the desert, while inspecting on what they believe to be was a meteor, they come across a Thanagarian warship, and while on the ship, they discover the material known as nth metal, and now nth metal is used for a variety of different things. And now one of the most common things is usually, at least when it comes to the Hawks, is it allows someone who's using it to disrupt gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has magical properties. Mm-hmm. So a third party the sorcerer known as Halfset came across these two and were jealous of Khufu's relationship with Shaira and actually wound up killing them both. But in the process of doing this, the nth metal in its new raw form now basically, I don't want to say bonded with, yeah, I will say bonded with them. And in the process of doing this, it allowed them to reincarnate.
Mm.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah. No, I like that. I definitely like that one because that's also what we end up. That's the origins that we end up seeing in the first season of DC's Legends of Tomorrow on the CW as a part of the Arrowverse when they first when they fight Vandal Savage. Because it comes to find out that Vandal Savage, in the CW's iteration of their origins, Vandal Savage, instead of being the immortal that has been around since the dawn of time, essentially, the caveman age era and stuff like that, he was the priest, half set.
Yeah, he was Halfset.
Yeah, and then of course, over the years, his name changed, so on and so forth. Yo, Triage, quick question. You sound a little nasally, you a little sick.
Getting over a bit of bad cold.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to get one. So for anyone asking, like, wow, they sound a little nasally tonight, huh? Yeah, no, that's why. Oh man.
I actually myself, my throat is a little hoarse.
Yeah, it's just the weather. It's that season change, that seasonal change.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep, it's starting to it's kicking everyone's ass. So, for my understanding of Hawkman is that no DC hero has like lived as many lives as Hawkman. Yet, though each of them he has sought justice for, like each life, he's always like sought justice for humanity and happiness. And majority of that majority of happiness goes between him and his beloved, Hawkgirl. Seeing as how they were in love, and then every incarnation, like they don't remember well, at least. So it's interesting. So Hawkman does eventually end up getting the ability to remember all of his past lives and have the memories of all his past lives. How he doesn't go insane, magic. But Hawkwoman, on the other hand, she does not have that. Now, so we have Shira Hall, and then there was the most recent incarnation of Hawkgirl. I can't remember her name. She has a completely different name now. It's not Shira. It's not even Hall.
Oh, you're talking about Kendra Saunders.
Kendra Saunders. Yep, Saunders. That's what I was thinking of. So and that's something that they played around with in the CW show. That when we do end up finally. They do end up finally introducing Hawkman. He remembers the love they had. He remembers all of this. She's like, "Ew, get away from me, you fucking creep. I don't know you. Why are you doing this?" But the thing about Hawkman is that, like, since the days of like World War II, there's always been an imposing figure with majestic wings and a striking bird-shaped helmet, brandishing ancient weaponry and standing alongside Earth's greatest heroes in its time of need. He's like a fierce warrior without equal, a hero, but like it's really interesting when it comes to him because, like I said, he's had so many different things. But the one thing that remains consistent is that he's always been a hero. He's always been the one that's, that he's first to fight, last to lead the battlefield type shit. Correct me if I'm wrong for thinking this way, but I've always related the Hawks to like Valkyries in a way.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Okay,
yeah,
cool,
that
cool.
makes sense to me.
Yeah, so every time I think about them, I think about the Valkyries, of not necessarily with the whole they scoured the battlefield to bring, fallen warriors to Valhalla. Not in that aspect, but the aspect that they themselves are warriors, right?
Correct.
And they love that fight. They're like they live for that fight and that drive. And then also,
Although
go ahead.
one of the backstories I read, out of the many there are, the Hawkman was his job was to conquer planets, for this Lord of the Void.
Oh, yep. I know what you're talking about. Go ahead. So,
well, he would go around conquering planets for this evil entity, and the group that he was a part of, he was a general in, and they were called the Deathbringers. But that's the extent of really what I know about that.
So they were supposed to tie that into like from what I remember reading online, they were supposed to be tying that into like a whole Justice League thing. It was supposed to be that in the movie that he was working for Darkseid.
Oh, that okay, yes.
And they
Gotcha.
said that was like one of the early ideas. It was supposed to be like Darkseid was invading the planet and like how he basically like the Thanagarians were like his lieutenants.
Yep. That makes sense.
And then they're supposed to be like in the effort to stop this. This is what basically formed the Justice League.
Oh, okay. So they're God, they got to stop with trying to give us the origins of the Justice League over and over and over and over again. That's oh my God.
Well,
Like,
honestly, the once again, like I said before, the issue with the Justice League movie was one, poor casting, and then two, they retold a whole bunch of superheroes coming together to stop an alien invasion. I don't like we already saw that movie. There was no point for them to do it again. I was like, if anything, they should have did. They could have had them be a unit and then explain them dealing with some extra dimensional threat or whatever the case may be. But just the alien invasion part, it was just we'd already seen that.
no, that definitely makes a lot of sense, and
I mean,
I second that. I definitely second that. Now my thing is like there was an idea that someone had thrown out, on Instagram and stuff that like the way they should have done it was open up the movie to there already being a whole like ass battle going on, and then each character, and then have that one scene spit off into individual origin movie for each character leading up to how they ended up in that situation that they're in. I would have definitely enjoyed that, and that would be really interesting to and that's another thing. They need to stop playing around and actually bring the Hawks into the Justice League. Clearly we see that they're bringing Hawkgirl into the Superman Legacy movie. But again, my opinions on that is still out. Like I'm not gonna yay or nay it 100% yet. We just got to see where it goes. Are my hopes high? No. With DC, I've learned to keep my hopes low so that if they do some awesome shit, I'm like, oh, yay, nice. In the back, I may be a Marvel fan, but in the back of my mind, I'm always rooting for DC in the back. Always rooting for DC in the back. But no, I think I don't know. I just feel like if they do characters like this, we need a singular origin story that can be carried out through over whatever writer, whatever producer or director decides to use the character. Because that's also another thing that DC has. A lot of their characters, they've redone the origins of their characters a lot
in their comics.
Yeah, most of their characters in their comics have had the origins redone at least, at minimum 3 times. At minimum 2 to 3 times.
Well, that's because it's like we went through the different periods in comics. We went through the Golden Age, went through the Silver Age, we went through the Bronze Age, and then we were in the Modern Age. I don't even know what the actual technical age we'd be considered now, but like even if you looked at look at the more like the Smallville depiction of the characters, that was definitely the Silver Age of heroism.
Absolutely.
But like the Hawks are supposed to be like the more golden age. That's supposed to be like the 60s, 50s time. So it's like they can modernize those characters, but it's like they need to modernize them and explain them. Like, for example, I don't think Aldrich Hodge did a bad job playing Hawkman at all. I think he was phenomenal, actually.
Absolutely.
Like
Shout out to Idris Hodge. If you ever want to come on the show, bro, and talk about it, we can talk about it. We are 100% down, and we support you 100%, brother.
I mean, my whole thing was there was no context given to like the nth metal or his powers. That was never once explained.
Yes.
They touched on it very slightly. I think one of the younger heroes was asking about the ship, and he was explaining the ship's made out of nth metal, this and that, but they never, which makes sense. Actually, no, now I'm really thinking about it, it doesn't make sense, because it's like, they're dealing with technically dealing with a magical being, which is why they had Fate, Dr. Fate even there, because Shazam is a magic being. And then, just real quick, just to touch back on what you said about, the Hawks being essentially that golden age, it makes sense because they were like the prelude to the Justice League, the Justice Society of America. They were a part. I don't know if they were founding members of the JSA, but they were really strong staples within the JSA.
No,
no,
they were
founding.
Yeah, they were. Yes, they were founding members.
Okay, all right. So that's something that I didn't like about the way they portrayed Hawkman and Black Adam, because they're like, oh, the JSA that Fate, Hawkman, as well as who was it, Atom Smasher, and there were 2 others.
Whirlwind, was that her name?
I think I only watched the movie once. I mean,
it doesn't explain like how Hawkman has all this money. That I kind of was confused about that.
Yeah, because he was very well off. And then the other thing is, the other thing that would make that make sense is, here's another thing too. So it's explained in the Justice League cartoon that Hawkgirl's mace, which was made out of nth metal, that nth metal weapons disrupt magical creatures, or hurt things that are supernatural. So if that was the case, how come Hawkman's weapons didn't do more damage to Black Adam? And then,
oh yeah, absolutely. He should have been able to put the beats on him. But they did stand with the fact that he was the only one of the crew to really be able to hold his own against him.
And then he did barely, in my opinion.
I agree.
Dr. Fate, I mean, did a pretty good job holding him back. I think that they explained Dr. Fate more than they did Hawkman.
Oof. Wow, that's actually a really good point. They actually did. They really did. Now I'm thinking about it. They really did explain Dr. Fate a little bit more, which is wild because ain't nobody go see that movie. The only reason why people went to see that movie, and I can say this because I'm one of the people, is for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing Black Adam. And everyone's been waiting for Black Adam ever since the ending of the first Shazam movie.
I know he loved portraying that role. He wanted to do it for a while.
It's a role that he's always wanted to do since even like he first started doing wrestling. And so I kind of feel for him on that shit getting shut down, but that was also his fault. He picked the fight with people he shouldn't pick the fight with. He chose the wrong hill to die on with that one. But I feel like the other reason why people went to go see that movie was because well, I can't say finally, but in all these years since Smallville ended, we finally get to see another iteration of Hawkman. Last I knew, there's only been about 4 renditions of Hawkman within animation as well and live action. The 2 live actions was Idris Hodge, and then we also saw him in Smallville,
Oh,
towards in the later seasons of Smallville, and
yes.
then right. And then shout out, we also see Blue Beetle in that too. I swear to God, like Smallville is fucking golden, but a lot of people don't remember the later seasons. Everyone remembers the early seasons of Smallville, but not a lot of people remember the later seasons with literally all the fucking heroes that they brought in throughout the entirety of the show. Like even I forgot until the Blue Beetle movie came out, and I was doing some research, and sure enough, I was like, oh, Blue Beetle, what? He wasn't. They did show him in Smallville. That was like a random ass character to put in Smallville, but it was great. And then we see the iteration in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And then we also see him, I believe, quite a few times within the animated film universe.
And they came out with the movie.
Well, yeah. So we got Idris Hodge live action, then we got the one from Smallville live action, and then those 2 iterations of him and animated wise.
Don't forget the Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad. 3 live actions. I was literally just talking about him in Legends Tomorrow. My bad. Yeah, the 3 live action portrayals. And so now that we got to see him again on the big screen, and then everything that they showed us in the trailers, this man popping out all golden metallic armor on, and he's black. Man, no, ain't nobody go see the damn movie for Pierce Bronson as Dr. Fate. Ain't nobody come see you, Otis.
Oh my God.
But like, I mean, it's just real. Like, don't get me wrong. Shout out to Pierce Bronson. He's awesome actor. That's my 007 right there. That's just only because that's the 007 that I grew up with.
I didn't say anything.
No, I just want to point out for the audience, because clearly, there's been a lot of 007s, been a lot of James Bonds, and so everyone has their own. Pierce Bronson is mine. Even though I like Daniel Craig, but like,
yeah, I respect it.
I personally feel like, and the other thing I didn't get about that movie is with Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate. Go ahead.
I still say it should have been Idris Elba, but continue.
As Dr. Fate.
No, Idris Elba should have been James Bond, but that's an argument for another time.
Yeah. I feel like, all right, if you want to do Daniel Craig, cool, but you should have, instead of continuing Daniel Craig after he decided he was done, should have went with Idris Elba. But my thing is like, Dr. Fate should have been wrecking Adam.
Well, not so much in that aspect. Well, one, you got to remember, first and foremost, The Rock's not gonna let that happen. That's first and foremost. Number 2 is Fate's not a fighter.
But even then, like, the iterations of Fate that I've seen, he can literally wave his hands and put motherfuckers in a whole different dimension.
But so can Strange. But it's one of those things like where Strange goes against someone who's magic based, like someone like Thor, who is a fucking bruiser, who's going to fight with his fist. That fight's not going to go that way.
Yeah, it's similar. Like, I understand what you're saying.
But here's the thing. I'm sorry to cut you off, Jay. But here's the thing. You have a bruiser on your team, someone who can go against him. All the while Hawkman is distracting him and bruising him, Fate had all this time to sit there and work his magic. So if he wanted to throw him in a completely other realm to subdue him. That battle should have dragged out as long as it did. That battle should not have dragged out as long as it did. Because one, Hawkman should have been doing a little more damage. And then you have Dr. Fate, who is the DC's version of Doctor Strange. And we all personally, to me, Fate is stronger than Strange. Purely based on the fact that all Strange's magic is borrowed magic from other cosmic and mystical entities. He himself doesn't have any powers himself. Granted, I get it. The body of Strange does not have. Well, no, he usually picks magic users. Yeah, Nabu, right? Nabu, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he picks magic users because their bodies are strong enough to withstand the magic of the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, I just feel like Fate could have been doing a little more work in that movie.
So wait a minute. You're telling me that you feel that Nabu is stronger than Strange?
Well, now if you say that, now you got to dig in. Now you got to dig in the crates and about Nabu and who he is and who he was before he was a part of the helmet.
No, I'm asking you. Is that what you just said?
Not Nabu specifically, but Nabu as well as his host together. Because Nabu can't do shit without a host.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing. Nabu can't do shit without a host. The level of power that Fate is able to draw upon, as opposed to Strange, I feel like that the level of power is greater than Strange. Not saying that Fate would wash Strange, but it would definitely be a fucking interesting battle. We should. Oof.
That would be crazy.
I got an idea. It's gonna take some research. Might take some time to get this episode out, but I've been really liking the versus battles that we've been doing. I've been really liking those. So that might be a nice versus that we can do later on down the line.
Oh, Fate versus Strange?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be really nice. But so when it comes to the Hawkman, specifically, I just feel like we haven't seen much of him. We don't really get to see much of him. His background, depending on what you're reading and what you're watching, can be completely different, with literally with small similarities within the concept. I just wish that his character had more solidification.
Yes. It was solid. Like it was more like permanent.
And that way it'll be really awesome for them to really it'll be easier for somebody to just pick up the character. Like, all right, this is the character's background. This is how his background has affected him and his way he's thinking, and that'll be easier for them to work his personality into something, whatever it is that they're writing or producing. Because again, you got a character who has the powers of flight, enhanced strength. He's a weapons expert. He's actually a medieval weapons expert. If you're going off the storyline of Carter Hall, who was he was like an archaeologist or something like that.
Oh
Yes.
Yeah. And like his a big specialty of his was medieval weaponry. So he has the combat skills, combat strategy, and clearly being able to, reincarnate. And that's another thing that they never really talked about with the Hawks. Like when we talk about reincarnation, like it's so loose on when this person is reincarnated. There's some things where like, oh, every 100 years or every 500 years or like, or every third child or every third generation, so on and so forth. But they never really lock down on when they are, reincarnated.
It's mentioned slightly in the stories. Like you say that he comes back during the Wild Wild West and he's a vigilante gunslinger. Oh, he operated under the title, I want to say it was Nighthawk. And then like Shira was his partner back then, and then he reincarnated again in the 40s, right as the war started.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of ballpark it. So it's like basically they reincarnate around major events, like something's going on.
So it's one of those things, Avatar kind of style, in a way. Just like when the world needs them the most, kind of thing.
Yes.
All right. That definitely makes sense. But then there's a story of Carter Hall where he ends up being he's actually a cop or something like that, and ends up being reincarnated. And anyways, there's a lot going on with him. And then with Shira, there's not so much with him. There's only thing I've ever really heard about her is literally the big two that you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is that there actually is a whole, the Thanagarian, that whole storyline. So I think I always thought that I like that story the most. Even though I love ancient Egypt, I love all that lore and everything, all that history, but I feel like in the concept of comic books, it fits better to have them be the Thanagarian police officers, and that's the way they ran it within Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
I agree. It's much more explanative.
Yes, I agree.
So, I mean, the way I would tie it together would be I'd have it so it was Katar in Shira, and how say they were chasing that criminal, the shapeshifter, and now they had reason to believe that he was hiding on Earth in ancient Egypt. So say like when they crash landed, whatever, then you can tie the stories together because then you have the prince and the princess who find them, and then say like they use the nth metal technology to possess their bodies.
I like that, and that way it ties everything together,
right? Or at least is like they somehow take their identities, but the thing that I always thought that was interesting was the whole thing with the wings. So because once again, if you've read certain material or if you watch certain material, the wings are actually all, I don't want to say they're authentic to their race.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I've read. But
Yeah.
I've also read that they were specifically tools belonging to their police officers in their race. But then
Correct.
they were
Because the nth metal allows them to fly, and the wings gave them like better trajectory and made it easier for them to fly.
So, in my opinion, I think the wings should just be indigenous to their people.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, of course, with the reincarnation aspect of it is, they have to later on, they realize, okay, they end up learning about the Thanagarians and why they had wings and stuff like that. And so now later on down the line, they end up, incorporating that into their suits to, help them fly and stuff like that. That would be really cool. That would be really, really cool. So now here's the story that I wanted to touch on with the Dark Knight's metal. I'm not going to get incredibly deep into it. I'm just going to touch on the part that requires to talk about the nth metal, where the nth metal comes in. So the whole concept of Dark Knights is that there's this entire Justice League of known as the Dark Knights that are all Batman. All some version of Batman, and
man.
Yeah, everyone's heard about the one leading them all, the Batman Who Laughs. And then there was, the Red Death, which was Batman fused with the Flash. There was
The Drowned, which is him fused with
the
Aquaman.
yep,
Excuse me.
Yep.
That's a female variant.
And that one was like she had gotten like lost at sea or something. The same story of like, both parents dying, but it was like some Oliver Queen shit when they were actually on a boat out at sea and she ended up drowning. There's that one. There's a Wonder Woman, and there's actually like the Superman incarnation of that Batman fusion thing was actually Batman Doomsday.
Yeah.
Which that shit's pretty fucking sick.
Another one that apparently put on like War's helmet. She's not wore Ares helmet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So with all that being said, they were on, led by the Batman Who Laughs, who like he also had Robins, but he had multiple Robins, and they were like goblins in a way that he had like transformed into, these like monstrous little, creatures. But being led by the Batman Who Laughs, their whole goal was to merge the multiverse with the dark multiverse and fuse into and pretty much rule. They were trying to take over the entirety of the multiverse. The story goes on, and what they end up finding out is that Nth Metal does damage. These characters were damn near omnipotent gods, damn near. And they end up having to go to Thanagar, the Justice League, and they end up coming back from Thanagar with this. Just so you guys know, there's a bunch of different metals in there, and Nth Metal is just one of them. There's like what is it? There's Nth Metal, and then there's 10th Metal as well, which is like stronger and more magically in tune than Nth Metal. So I ended up coming back with this 10th Metal armor, full armor sets, full suits of armor, all of them, full suits of armor of this 10th Metal alloy.
Huh.
And yeah, now they all can fly there, and it was an all-out battle. So even if you play, I know it's an old ass game, but if you were to play like what's it called? DC Online, DC Universe Online.
Mm-hmm.
They end up incorporating all of that into there, and there's a whole storyline where you gotta, team up with the Justice League, go get the 10th Metal, fight the Batman Who Laughs and shit like that. And again, the Batman Who Laughs was so strong that they didn't technically defeat him. Like even with the 10th Metal, the strongest metal in the DC universe, they still weren't able to truly defeat him. The only way they were able to beat him is by trapping him inside of the dark multiverse. That's literally all they can do in the end is just trap him. And pretty like they all damn near died doing this. By the way, they even with the 10th Metal. So
you're telling me these fuckers went full BoJack Unbound, stuck him in King Kai's planet, and still fucked it up?
Yeah, damn near. But but at this point, at that point, the Batman Who Laughs had fused himself with there was some dark entity from the dark multiverse that made him even stronger at that point. Damn, I can't remember who the being was offhand. I'll have to do my research, double back on my research on that. But yeah, dude, the shit was crazy. I highly recommend reading that comic book line. And again, shout out to Comic Books Explained. If you just want to get a run through of it without having to read it yourself, check out Comic Books Explained. He literally has a huge ass playlist specifically breaking down each comic book within that series and retelling the story in an easier to consume way.
Yes, he does a very good job.
Yes, it's sick. Oh, you watched the Titanhawk episode video?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, sick, right? Sickening, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, crazy. But now these characters, and now as we always do in the show, where would you like to see these characters go, whether it be an animated or no, let's just say let's specifically say live action. Jason, where would you like to see these characters go in live action?
That's actually a good question. I think if they tried to carry out like more of the storyline with what they were doing with the current movies,
Mm-hmm.
and actually explained more, backstories of the hero of Hawkman specifically, I think that they would do a really good job.
I definitely agree. I feel like I would watch a standalone Idris Hodge Hawkman movie.
Yes.
I definitely would, 100%. If they did it right and were able to give him a solid, like an actual solid backstory and solidify his backstory. What about you, Triage?
Oh, I would definitely be down. But see, to me, they'd have to market it as not so much star-crossed lovers. They have to market it as a love story. Like you'd want like the romantics to look at this like The Notebook, like Titanic,
Ooh,
like like 5 Feet Apart. Like, you know what I mean, you want it to be looked at it like that, because at the end of the day, the Hawk story is a love story.
I like that. I've always been a fan of them doing superhero movies without them coming off as superhero movies.
Like you ever read Othello?
Yes, yes.
So like that. Like you had someone who literally destroyed someone because they're completely jealous of them.
Yes, and that now that you bring that up, that's actually something I've always thought. From especially when I watch the Legends of Tomorrow when they explain their backstory and stuff like that. That's absolutely what I got. I got Othello vibes, and to point out, Othello is one of my favorite tragedies. Shakespearean tragedies. Um, yeah, and a lot of people forget that. Yeah, like Romeo and Juliet. It's not Romeo. It's a tragic. It's a tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. Like that's what the story is. They're
Yeah.
tragedies. So I would love that. I would love that. That is a great idea. That is an amazing idea. Um. Hmm. Hmm. I know we got a lot on our plate already, but I'm interested to play around with that idea. Um. Like I feel like, and I feel like that would also give the character way more depth as well.
Mhm. And even then, like, it doesn't necessarily need to be like a Hawkman movie. It could be told from both their perspectives, where he's chasing her and she's trying to live her life, not realizing that she's chasing him, who's trying to find her.
Ooh.
That's a
Ooh.
good concept.
Let him cook. Let him fucking cook. Okay.
And then in the process of this happening, they keep getting the quote unquote call to arms. Like there's this major incident that happens at this point in time and they got to intervene, or this happens at this point in time and they got to intervene, or they could do it like they did with Legends of Tomorrow, like where they start, as time goes by, they start to build their own rogues gallery because people they keep having dealings with.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could have it like the whole thing with Half Set. Now Half Set reincarnates also.
Mm. Mm. So I would take it as I would like them to take the Vandal Savage run on Half Set. The way they ran that, and have Half Set, instead of him being reincarnated, he's just become immortal.
Yeah, but I couldn't have it be Vandal. I don't know.
No, no,
I
no,
don't.
not Vandal, not Vandal. Like it wouldn't be Vandal, but just the concept of these two have become, they reincarnate, but have said as a punishment for murdering them, and as a punishment of his jealousy, now he's been cursed by the nth metal to live forever. And then the way you can run it is now the undertone, because I always like in anything writing that has two stories going on at the same time, but the second story you don't really notice much that's been going on. Like, have the main tone of the film be that kind of tragic romance story, right? But underneath that, you have Hatset, who has, out of all these millennia, of being immortal, has gone crazed and thinking that the only way to stop this, to end his torment of being immortal, is to finally find a way to kill Carter and Shira.
Mm.
And so now you have that backstory underneath there. And now, would you have Carter know that, would you have him have his memories, or would you have it them like, I don't want to say it, but like Hancock style, while would you have it like one remembers their past lives and the other one doesn't? Like he
So
remembers the past lives and she doesn't, or would you have it as they find each other and those memories unlock for them both?
I would have it depend on the time frame. So I would think like in the earlier years, like Wild Wild West, like the Depression, like around that period of time, like all right, they see each other, they fall for one another, then they realize who they are. Then as time goes by, have it become harder, but still let them access that memory of the muscle memory. Like for example, like say like he gets into a barroom brawl, and all of a sudden he just whipped the floor with 10 people, and he's like, well, how the fuck did I just do that? But it's like he's been fighting his entire life.
Ooh, and the
Like a
same thing.
Jason Bourne style.
Right.
Yeah. Like it comes out of nowhere and he shocks himself. Like, whoa, what the fuck? I
And then
know,
like
I knew I was a brawler, but
and then like he had flashbacks to like maybe a time he did it before.
mm-hmm.
And then like with her, like you remember over all these years they would have had to develop different type of skills or different type of knowledge. So it's like they could be scholars and be extremely smart. They could also be extremely educated. They could also be extremely with endurance or as far as like their combat prowess. Like they know how to use multiple weapons. It could be as far as them finding themselves in a bad situation where they're completely outnumbered, make makeshift weapons and fight forward and then beat in the middle.
I like that. Now for her, the way I can think of for her is like you said, she's living her life. She's just trying to live her life, right? But one constant thing is that with all their reincarnations is that they always have a drive for justice, right? For protecting people and doing good. So let's have it as her, she has been living her life. She's become let's say she's become a cop, right? Or even then more so of a detective. And yet, she's like being held as like this great cop, great detective or whatever. And, yet she doesn't know how she does it. She doesn't know how she's so proficient in firearms. She doesn't know how she's so proficient in hand-to-hand combat. She doesn't know how she's proficient in, sword fights or whatever, using blades and shit like that. It's just for her, it's always things like that have always just come natural to her. Yet she doesn't know why.
Right.
And then at a certain time, she starts to have these, for her, they would be dreams or nightmares or like kind of flashbacks. And like it just progressively becomes more and more and more to the point where like she's thinking that she's going crazy now. She's like, I'm having memories of shit that I've never done, this and that. And the story starts to unfold for her, and then, lo and behold, come along, she ends up bumping into Carter some way, somehow, however they were to write it, while he's also going through his shit as well. There could be, like you said, there could be a situation that ends up bringing them together, and now they're working together trying to figure out why these people are trying to take their heads off, why these people are trying to kill them.
Who would you have for Shira?
Oof, got to be a black woman. Got to be a black woman. There's a lot. There's a lot. I want them to be younger. Definitely be younger.
What do you mean when you say younger?
I'd say like, you know, maybe one of the newer younger black actresses that have been killing it. Damn.
I got one person in mind, and one person only.
Go for it.
I say Rosario Dawson.
Ooh,
that would be cool.
I'm down with that, but I would like her to be a little darker skin. I love Rosario Dawson. I love you know, all her acting credits. She's been amazing in. But I would, as in visual looks, you know, I don't know. I would like them to be a little bit darker. I would like her to be a little bit darker, and I also like Carter to be a little bit darker as well. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like the same skin tone as as Idris Hodge's character, his portrayal. Because I just feel like this is something about, you know, seeing two dark skinned people kicking ass. You know what I mean? You know that, and again, like I said, when I say they fight and they get into scraps, I mean like they are highly like proficient in hand-to-hand combat, like highly proficient in hand-to-hand combat. So like I'm seeing them going on like John Wick style, you know, fight scenes.
And then looking at each other like, did that just happen?
Exactly. Like there's a moment where they end up, you know, a whole like gunplay scene where they end up like throwing guns back and forth and shit. And the maces, their maces could be on exhibit in a museum somewhere, and like the antimetal is calling to them.
Like it's vibrating and they can sense it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they end up finding themselves there without even knowing that's where they were going. Some shit like that.
These are cool concepts that, like, if we saw these, it'd be sick.
It'll be so sick. It'll be so sick. You know what I mean? And it'll be a situation of like having black characters just to have black characters. But also, if we were to go with the connective storylines that you brought up, where, you know, it was Thanagarians, they crashed, they found, you know, the prince and what was she? What was Shira? She was a priestess, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, the prince and the priestess, they find the nth metal, and it'll make sense because they're in Egypt, so they would be black. You know, but clearly, you know, as they reincarnate, you know, they reincarnate as, you know, they're gonna have them reincarnate as different, you know, different races and stuff like that. Hell, they don't even necessarily have to be human for some of the incarnations, because that's something that they haven't talked about in the comic books. So that's something that they could just do, you know, just to do it, you know, just to have that ambiguity in there.
That's a little bit too far of a reach for me.
It is, but it wouldn't be something that they would like harp on, but it can be something that gets mentioned as a part of the lore. But that would be yeah. I'm not okay. Yeah, now I'm really thinking about the not necessarily being human thing. Yeah, that kind of, but no, it would make sense because their souls are traditionally not human.
Possibly. Well, here, hold on. Here's another thing. There's something else we got also. Who's the bad guy?
Half-Set.
But besides him, like I said, if Batman can't fight the Joker in every single movie, like say you're trying to like legitimately make a trilogy, who is the rogues gallery that the Hawks are dealing with?
Oh,
See, that's a great question.
Yeah, that is a solid question. Ooh. Because that's what, and maybe that's where the fallback comes, because I don't really know what their villains and enemies are. because every time they're really used, they don't really have, they always end up being like side characters, or there's no like real main big bad. Like I know they did that in CW with having their big bad be Vandal, but as in like the overall arching theme, I don't really know.
I'll say, 'cause I know they've had like beef like with the Shadow Thief and Gentleman Ghost and a few other characters, but
Oh,
it's
forgot
like,
about Gentleman Ghost.
but it's like who is like there's like no real big, there's no like no big arch enemy besides Half Set who comes to mind.
Ah, hmm. Even now, I'm looking through, and I don't.
Even popular or like powerful enemies don't come in later until he's like
Mhm.
part of the Justice Society.
Yep, that's a good point too. Yeah, a lot of them don't come in until after they've already become part of the team. Now, if you like, because now I'm thinking, Gentleman Ghost. I kind of feel like to see that on screen, that wouldn't really. That I feel like those one of the things that wouldn't translate too well to screen if they were to do it that way. And me personally, I wouldn't find that interesting. Maybe it's me not knowing the like the backstory of Gentleman Ghost too well. But I think that now again, you could go with Shadow Thief, because Shadow Thief you have to deal with, you have to deal with Tigress, and you have to deal with Copperhead. So that's, they can run that as well with 3. Um, but then if you were to look at the modern age, the more modern age villains, I know I'm looking here. We got Blackfire. Um, what? Mm, like White Dragon, maybe. There's a whole neo-Nazi theme going on with White Dragon.
It like as the one from Peacemaker.
Well, yeah, that White Dragon. I totally forgot that was Peacemaker's father in there. Hey, if I don't think they're gonna want to bring that to screen though. They would not. Yeah, Jason's laughing because he knows where I'm going. He knows where I'm going with that. I don't think they want to bring that to screen. If we were to do White Dragon and then have Carter and Shire be black, I don't think they want to play with that. I think that's a fire that no studio is going to want to play with that, because that's very sensitive if they were to try to portray it that way. There's Headhunter. No, he's a South African shaman.
Mm.
There's that. I don't know. That would be the hard thing. Unless, and here's the thing now, unless we're talking this can be a one-off movie that leads into like a whole team thing, a whole team, the whole Justice League or JSA style kind of thing. We could just run it right off rip and have them go against Half Set, and that would be something that that would be something that they can bring into like their startup. They already handled their big bad. Now they want to help others and shit like that. They can run it that way.
I don't think that'll work.
Nah.
So the reason why I don't think that would work is like I said the one thing that the Justice League could have did that would have put asses in seats is that they should have had the Justice League fight the Legion of Doom. And then once shit went sideways, they should have had the Justice League, the Legion of Doom, and then the Suicide Squad pair up against an external threat.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, that.
Huh. Like, cool.
Like, for example, like we could have had the whole fight go side. Like we could have had the Justice League fight the Legion of Doom, right? And say like that fight gets so out of control, Amanda Waller decides like, all right, either these niggas stop or I'm gonna make them stop. Because that was another thing too that was always weird to me in the DC Universe movies is that Amanda Waller had this like level of power and connection with everyone, and everyone knew who she was. Like you would have thought from watching the Justice League, from watching Black Adam, that the JSA worked for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Bruce Wayne had to go to Amanda Waller to get the files on Cyborg and Aquaman and the Flash. So I thought that was weird also. But whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would Bruce not already be able to get that information himself? He has a fucking whole ass supercomputer. You know what I mean? And he would have been compiling these files on his own.
Right. And then that showed that all of them were also already on Amanda Waller's radar.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right. So my thing with that always was, if that was the case, that means Amanda Waller basically was already aware of mad shit that was going on. So say you take 7 members of the Justice League. Matter of fact, let's round up. Let's go up a bit. Let's give the Justice League a good 9 members, all right? And say those 9 members are fighting 9 members of the Legion of Doom. You pick whoever you want. Now, we saw Superman fight Zod in a battle that basically destroyed Metropolis. We saw Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman fight Doomsday in a battle that basically damn near destroyed the city. Once again, every time these guys cut loose somewhere, there's bad collateral damage. So say like Amanda Waller was like, yo, knock this shit the fuck off or I'm gonna make y'all stop. So say she goes to send in the Suicide Squad, and the Suicide Squad is none but heavy hitters and shooters.
Mm-hmm.
So she's basically calling them to arms, like, all right, I'm about to send y'all to go take care of this. And all of a sudden they go, oh, ma'am, something just entered the Earth's atmosphere. Like, what do you mean something just entered the Earth's atmosphere? It's like, we don't know. And then sure enough, say like, it's like dark side shit. Next thing you know, mad boom tubes start popping up all over the place. And they're looking at each other like, yo, who the fuck is this? Like, those aren't, like, they're not with us. And next thing you know, these start killing everybody so that this forces the villains and the heroes to work together.
Now, so no, go ahead, continue.
They literally be in the middle of fighting each other and have to call a truce and be like, yo, like, until this shit's taken care of, like, all right, nigga, but once this is taken care of, we're going back to basics. And then just as like they're starting to push the tide back, the Suicide Squad shows up. And then you could also call in people who weren't on anyone's roster. Say Firestorm showed up or the Blue Beetle. Or you could cut to different people around at different points also fighting the invasion. So they basically just built the DC universe right there.
Well, shit, if DC really wanted to just say fuck all these extra movies and just bring everyone together at once, that would do it. That will fucking do it.
See, the problem with shit is casting.
Yeah, that would be such a large budget film.
Not really, because the issue with that is that a lot of the characters, a lot of people who get cast to play certain characters get cast off their popularity. The other issue is whoever fits the cat, whoever is cast to play the character has to fit the character. Like, a lot of people didn't feel that Ben Affleck was a believable Batman. I thought Ben Affleck was a great Batman.
Really, I felt the opposite. I felt like he was a great Bruce Wayne. but not necessarily. Honestly, no. If you depending on what what iteration of Batman you're going off of, yeah, he could be a great Batman. All right,
Watching him play Batman was like watching someone play the live action version of him from the 90s cartoon.
Smug, savvy.
Very highly confident on the borderlines of borderline cocky. Because I feel like listen, it's not cocky if you can back it up.
Yes, Ben Affleck's Batman was the live action interpretation of Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Yeah, because they were able to bring in both the detective aspect as well as the physical aspect of him as well.
And then they finally got his fighting style down. Like he had the gear. I didn't care for the way they went with his gear, but other than that,
that was the only thing I didn't like.
Yeah, I felt like they went with a little
too classic.
Too
Too classic.
Yeah. Now, how would you rope in the Hawks into that?
Oh, very, very easily. Because it depends on the situation.
He about to cook. Hold on. We need to prepare everyone. You about to cook right now. You're like, easy. The confidence in that. Oh, he about to cook. Oh, all right. Go ahead. Seatbelts on.
So if the Hawks are not only ancient Egyptians, if they're also the Thanagarian law officers, that means not only do they have knowledge of other races and other planets, like you got to remember, they're basically intergalactic bounty hunters chasing somebody across the galaxy. So say the second the boom tube appears, it's like they could look at each other and be like, "Ah, shit!" Like and already know where the boom tube's coming from. And then the next thing you know, they'd be like, well, "Those things are parademons. You got to fight them this way." And they're like, "Wait, what the fuck's a parademon? Stop asking questions. Hit them the way they said to."
Now that would also work as well because they have that military strategy and shit like that of all their past lives and shit. At least Carter does, depending on how we want to run Shira. I feel like that'd be fucking perfect. Or we can have them not be there yet. Right? We can have them not be there yet. We can have them be on their way to Earth. They were chasing down Darkseid because they ended up finding out that Darkseid was going to attack Earth. So they were trying to get to Earth, but Darkseid got there first. And so now, because we know the Justice League got trust issues. They understandably have trust issues, especially fucking Batman. So that will add an extra turmoil of, can we trust them? Who are you? Where you come from? Why should we trust you? And then that's how they end up, by helping them, defeat this enemy. That's how they end up being brought into the fold of the Justice League.
See, that would be good.
Everything we've said thus far within this last hour and 16 minutes, everything we've said thus far would be great. But they would never do it. They would never do it. Because like you said, Triage, a lot of this shit's going off of popularity. It's going off popularity.
That's very true.
And the wild part is they don't even need to cast people who are big name actors to necessarily play those parts, because as long as they embody the character and the movie's successful, they're going to be those characters. people didn't really know who Chris Hemsworth was before he was Thor.
No, not really. No, honestly, I don't think I can even name anything Chris Hemsworth was in before Thor.
My gosh, I can't.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is a very good fucking point. But even then, so if they were to do it that way, they wouldn't end up running into the situation that they ran in with Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans. The longer the movies went on, the more their price went up as well. So now you get all these people that don't really have that many zeros attached to their name, and now you got a longer run out of them. Look at it. You got, if you look at Robert Downey Jr., the way they ran that, he was coming off of, one, he was probably coming off a bender. But he was also like, nobody wanted to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Nobody wanted anything to do with him. So he didn't have that many zeros attached to the back of his name. But as the movies increased, as his star power increased, as all these other studios started to want him, as a business standpoint, as an actor, you are a business, and the product that you're selling essentially is yourself. You are your product. So supply and demand. You got 15 different studios wanted you to sign a year, 2-year contract. Supply and demand. Hey, listen, I can't be everywhere at once, so somebody gonna have to put up some numbers. Whoever the highest bidder is, that's what we're gonna go with. But now, if you get these younger, I don't want to say no name actors. I don't want to say that. I want to say more so like actors that, like I said, don't have that many zeros attached to them. Maybe their acting career is kind of just really kind of starting. You know what I mean? You'll be able to get a longer run out of them. You know what I mean? As these characters, before that price tag starts to get a little too unbearable. But now, if you get good writers, that's what there we go, right there. If they spent the big bucks on the writers and not the actors, the movies are going to bring in more money. Well, if they spend the big bucks on the visuals and the writing and get and medium kind of price range on the actors, get like, all right, decent actors to play these roles, they're going to end up making bank and end up, bringing in more money than what they spent, which means that will always be able to keep these movies going. They'll have bigger budgets each time, and that means that they'll also be able to pay the actors however high their price range goes, from there on. That is actually a really fucking great idea.
And more actors will actually want to participate.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's when, these bigger actors are going to start. They're going to start peeping what DC doing, like, let me the same way people are doing, actors are doing with Marvel right now. Fucking every fucking actor thus far wants to be in a fucking Marvel movie. They want a piece of that Disney money. They want a piece of that Marvel money. That is, wow. That is great. That is fucking great. Yeah, spend more money on the directors, producers, and writers and the effects team, right? Don't give them all ridiculous ass deadline, to make them have the crunch. Let the film take its time. Let the film take its time to make sure that your FX team have enough time to do good effects. Make sure that your director has enough time to properly direct these actors. Make sure the actors have enough time to embody the characters, and they'll have an amazing fucking movie on their hands that will bring in all these characters in one big boom, and then you can go from there. Then you can just pick and choose. All right, what's the next movie we're gonna do? Who we wanna tap next to be the next movie?
Yeah.
And then every so often, bring a team up through. Like even Netflix started doing that shit. Like, yeah, we got the Luke Cage film. We got Luke Cage, right? But what did we get in season 2? We got a team up. Well, aside from the Defenders, we got that team. Well, it was after Defenders. Season 2 was after Defenders. But then we end up getting that team up with, Luke and Danny, and that dope ass fucking I think it was like I forgot what drug they were making in there, but this drug had the fight scene in the drug house. That was dope. You can have little cameo team ups here and there.
You want to give the audience, something, a good expectation, something to look forward to that they know is coming.
Absolutely. And what a lot of these studios have been doing, which I don't want to say it's necessarily their fault, because at the end of the day, they got to make their investors happy too.
Yeah.
Which I get. It's business.
We are the investors.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's the other thing, they're focused on making their big business investors happy instead of making the people that are going to make them even more money. So the investors give them money, right? But we're the people that are actually lining their pockets. We're the people that are making them profit. We're the revenue stream. That's where the profit stream. They may be the benefactor. They may be an investor. They're the ones that give you, $15 million, to make a film, but we're the ones that are giving you an extra $20 million after the fact.
It's very true.
More so, I'm sorry. That math really wasn't very good. The investors give you $15, the $15 million. We're the ones making you $100 million. So now that 15 million goes back to your investors, maybe with a little bit extra to make to make their pockets a little bit fatter. But then everything after that, let's say you're giving back out of that 100, out of that 100 mil, or at this point movies are hitting fucking $1 billion, but out of that few hundred mil, you take like 200 mil and give it back to your investors, and then the rest of what you just made is all yours. We're the ones that are lining their pockets, so they really should be focusing on making us happy as well, because at the end of the day, if you make us happy, we're going to make your investors happy. And that way, when you go do the next movie, your investors are going to give you more money because you already showed them that you can make the money.
That's the whole point. That's like the way I feel like you should do it.
That's the way business should be done. Make your customers happy. Your customers are going to make you happy. Or let me rephrase that. You make your consumers happy, because that's what we are. We're consumers. We consume. You make your consumers happy. Your consumers then make you and your benefactor or investors happy. You know what I'm saying? Literally,
Yeah.
like if everyone within the consumer, of all consumers decided to just stop consuming. If we said, you know what, fuck it, we're not going to the movies anymore. Fuck it, we're not streaming anything anymore.
My goodness, could you imagine?
I can't, and I really couldn't. I can only guess that they would have nothing. They could do nothing. They would make nothing. They end up going into debt. You're asking these people, these studios, for, you know, $500 million, $500 million, and you're not making anything back. So now you owe $500,000 for that movie that you just made.
Because
Not
you
to
made a
mention,
movie because you made a movie the way you wanted to make it instead of making it the way you knew you should have.
exactly. You know, you got all these actors that aren't going to get paid for this film now. All these directors and, well, actually no, because they technically are supposed to get paid from that, from that 500 million, and then also residuals after the fact. So they're, all right, bet they'll get their cut of the 500 mil, but it ain't gonna be much. It ain't gonna be much because they have to pay and people. People are barely gonna make bank. They're barely gonna make any kind of bank. They'll make enough to probably pay their rent for like 3-4 months, and that's it. Because they're not making any. They're not gonna make any residual funds from it because consumers are no longer consuming. Make your consumers happy, and you will be happy.
Create a story that will last, that you can just keep adding to, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Make yourself a golden goose. Marvel did that, and then they kind of started neglecting the goose. They really started neglecting the goose. Marvel was doing that. They were making films. That whole first Infinity Saga was them making the fans happy. And look, fucking Endgame, what, for like, Endgame was rocking at the highest grossing movie worldwide. So let's see. So first it was Titanic, and then Titanic got beat by Avatar, the first Avatar movie, not I'm talking about the blue people. Got killed by the first Avatar movie, right? And then after that, I think it was Endgame. I think Endgame was next. No, Black Panther. Black Panther ended up hitting that, and then Endgame ended up crushing that, right? And then most recently, I think Deadpool ended up killing that.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, yeah, what ended up happening was, I think after Endgame, they re-released Titanic in theaters, and it ended up crushing Endgame again. And then I think Deadpool just killed that.
Wow.
Yeah. But what they ended up doing is, before that the whole first, the whole Infinity Saga, they were just working on the fans, making stories that the fans would love. All right. But now, because that saga, that franchise did so fucking well, now they don't know how to keep up with it. They're asking for all this money from their investors, and the investors like, all right, well, can you recreate this? And so now all they've been doing is just trying to make stories that they think are gonna make the investors happy and that are gonna bring money to the investors. Because there's probably a bunch of restrictions that investors are putting on them too. Now that you think about it,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, the investors are probably saying, all right, we don't like this story. We don't think that this story is gonna bring in money. We don't think that this actor is gonna bring in money. We don't like this actor. We don't want to, we don't want to be associated with this actor. So if you bring this actor on, we're not going to give you the money.
That's just awful.
Yeah. So Hollywood's all fucked up. Hollywood's all fucked up.
Said me work with that nigga? Never.
Exactly. So I really think it might be a situation like that. But if they were to get back if they were to get back to really making stories about that the fans are gonna love, you know what I mean? Or even then doing stories that they know that the fans love, getting back to basics, going, digging in the crates, taking like hell. I'm waiting for DC to decide that they want to do Court of Owls.
Oh,
Honestly, that would be cool.
Yeah. Like right now, I feel like I think Matt Reeves would be perfect to pull off a Court of Owls storyline within his Batman universe. Because they're calling that the Elseworld. It's Elseworld. Anything that's not a part of James Gunn shit, it's Elseworld. It's labeled as Elseworld.
I
So I
don't
think
think
go ahead.
I don't think he has the balls to take on the Court of Owls.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he's gonna have to beef up a little bit.
No one
Yeah.
talks about them. Not a whisper word is said. For if you try to cross them, then a talon strikes you dead.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like that storyline, because it involves so much detective work and mystery, and I feel like with the character that they have Rob Pattinson portraying, that this version of Batman who is, who's partially insane, I feel like that would be a perfect storyline to put within that world, because that world is so heavily corrupt.
Honestly, they portrayed Gotham really well.
I feel like it did. Like I'm wait. Has Penguin dropped yet?
Not yet.
19th.
19th. Bet I'm watching that. I'm watching that because I also think Colin Farrell did a pretty damn good job as portraying Penguin. I didn't even know that was Colin Farrell because of the level of prosthetics that they used.
I actually just rewatched the Batman today,
That's
and
dope.
like it basically the movie itself sets up for the series The Penguin.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be perfect. If
And
Matt
this
Reeves,
is exactly the type of stuff that gets people interested.
yeah, and I feel like that would be a perfect. It will be it's a perfect universe that's been set up to bring in and do the Court of Owls. And I'm pretty sure, and if I remember correctly, the Court of Owls, that the storyline that they did with Court of Owls ends up running into the Dark Knights. I would love to see a live action Dark Knights storyline, like the Dark Knights and Dark Knights Metal. That shit would be fucking nutty. It would be so fucking nutty.
No. Because I don't want to see a Justice League fight an alternate version of the Justice League that's all Bruce Wayne. Fuck prep time.
Really, you don't want to see
No,
the Justice League
no,
actually
no.
put hands, feet, and elbows on Bruce Wayne?
Power.
I know you don't like Batman, so I'm just
Power.
saying.
Acknowledge what I'm saying to you. In my Roman Reigns voice, acknowledge me. I need you to accept the fact that if they make that movie, Bruce Wayne's gonna win, he's gonna win, he's gonna lose, he's gonna win, and he's ultimately gonna win and then lose, and then he's gonna win.
I see what you're saying.
I get what he's saying.
Yeah,
Because
I get it.
all we're watching is an army of Bruce Wayne take on the Justice League. The Justice League, which one Batman has contingency for. I can't. Listen, that whole movie's gonna be Batman stroking himself. Now I want to see that.
Yeah. Like I said, I saw where he was going with it, but you know what? That does make sense. That definitely does make sense. But now the Court of Owls thing, I feel like they will be able to do it perfectly and be able to do multiple movies, because here's how I would see it before we wrap up here. Here's how I would see it. I would see it as, so you watch the Daniel Craig Bond movies, right?
Yes, it is.
So all of them, all the way through, all Inspector.
Yes, it is.
So how each one of those movies, you know, pointed to, you know, something bigger going on, and then
Mhm.
you know what we see in, what was it, Skyfall? It was Skyfall, then Spectre, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then you know, it gets revealed that there is something bigger going on in Skyfall, and then Spectre is a film where it all comes together. Which I
Mm.
actually just recently watched Spectre, and it made me like, all right, I want to go back through and watch all Daniel Craig's movies, because I didn't watch Casino Royale. I think I watched Quantum Solace and Skyfall, and then like I said, I just recently watched which fucking Spectre. But I think if they were to run it that way, kind of like that, they can get like another 4 movies out of the Matt Reeves Batman and Rob Pattinson. And like in each movie, it kind of like makes Bruce the spiral a little bit more out of control, and you know, starts like you know, it puts him in his moral dilemma, now finding out that everything that has happened to him was not of his own volition. He thought it was, but everything that's been going on within Gotham, with himself, his family's murder, all that was all done by the court. And it'll put him in a dilemma, like, who am I? Give him that whole identity crisis of, who am I? Why am I? You know, am I really me? That a whole bunch of mental dilemmas that they've already put in, you know, with this first movie, and hopefully they're going to continue to carry out with, you know, in the second movie. You know what I mean? Because we already see that this Batman is dark. He's dark and he's a little twisted. He, you know, shit's not wrap tight up top for him. You know what I mean?
He has major childhood trauma. And like
Major childhood trauma.
they make it a point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think that would be good if they just decided to make fans happy. You know, if DC started working more towards on the fans and stuff like that. Honestly, the idea that you had on when it comes to the Justice League, that Triage has a fucking phenomenal fucking idea. The whole idea, you know, with you know, with Hawkman and Hawkgirl, fucking amazing. You know, that would be great.
Mm.
You know, and that, and then, but again, those are stories that are going to cater to the fans. You know what I mean? That's a story that's going to cater to the fans, and that's what needs to happen. And that's why, and I feel like that's also what has, how do I say, that's what's contributed to this oversaturation problem of within superhero movies. You know, because now they're just pumping out shit because
Yeah,
they
I
gotta
get what
make,
you're saying.
yeah, they gotta make their investors happy. They gotta make the people with the big pockets happy. So they gotta keep pumping shit out. And you know, the deadlines, the crunch times are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, which the quality of film is dropping and dropping and dropping. The acting is dropping and dropping and dropping. The effects is dropping and dropping and dropping.
I mean, you think about it this way too. The classic superhero story, the classic hero's tale. How many times can you make, you know, a superhero movie that is not about the hero redeeming himself and defeating his enemy, and uh, does that make sense?
No, absolutely. What was that, Triage?
I said perfect sense. Well, one of the things that we're constantly saying before is like, sometimes you just gotta let the bad guy be the bad guy, and when they don't do that,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you kill your potential for further stories.
Yes,
You
you
know,
do.
you kill your potential for further stories.
excuse me.
No, you're good. You're good. But that's also why I bring up the idea of having doing the Court of Owls in the Matt Reeves universe, because if you already look at how many people died in that first movie,
Because of the Riddler, they're a Zodiac killer.
yeah, but it was also a unique take on the character. But but they took a character that no one ever takes seriously and made him a legit fucking psychopath. And they really and like, now I'm just thinking about this. We see the sneak peek of their Joker. We see the sneak peek of their Joker. So like, if their Riddler is that level of a psychopath, like what do you think what do you think the Joker's gonna be?
You know what's really strange? Yeah. You when you say we've seen their Joker because of the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be amazing. That's really going to be amazing.
Yeah.
In the ending of the Batman, when the Riddler is going crazy in his cell, the man that begins speaking to him next to his cell, half of his face is gone.
Oh, so you're thinking Harvey?
Yeah, I think that they're going to bring in him, and Penguin is going to build this syndicate.
Because they have been building Penguin to be within the last, I'd say, like 5-10 years, including with the Gotham series, they have been building Penguin to be more of a formidable foe.
Very much so.
Well, it's also one of those things like where his story's been revamped and redone also, because it's like he's often depicted as having come from money, but gets what's what I'm looking for, bankrupted. His family winds up going broken. It's usually because of the Waynes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. Recently we watched The Batman, the animated series, that like the one I was on, like CW and shit, that one. Um I recently watched that, and that's what they ran with. His family ended up getting bankrupt. And so yeah, I think Matt Reeves would be perfect for that, for that storyline. Because again, I just feel like that they've already done a lot of dark shit just within that first movie alone. They've already done a lot of dark stuff. We literally, Riddler runs a car. What was it, into a funeral? It was a
Yeah.
funeral or some shit. He runs a car into a funeral, and the dude has a bomb strapped to his chest. Like they make it visually clear that the villains in this Matt Reeves universe have zero issue with killing.
It literally is like, a device out of Saw.
It
So,
is.
like, it's good.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like when they bring the Joker in, he's gonna be an absolute maniac, an absolute zero conscious, and he's just doing shit just to do shit. And because he has this, because clearly it seems like that this Batman has already ran into Joker already, because he's locked up in that asylum. You know what I mean? Same thing with Harvey Dent, because this is year one Batman.
Yeah, and that's obvious.
Yeah. This is Batman. He's just ending his first year of being Batman. He's not even able to glide yet until the end of the movie. So I don't know. I just feel like the Matt Reeves Batman. I know people don't like Rob Pattinson and they hate the idea of him playing Batman and Bruce Wayne. But I feel like this might be a situation where you might end up, you might be shitting on the underdog here.
I mean, I think he did a good job.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Because in that movie we got both sides of Batman. We got the detective of Batman. Well, three sides. We got. I wouldn't say we really got much Bruce Wayne because this is the time where he's like. Year one, he's really cracking down and crunching into Batman, and he hasn't got that work-life balance. He hasn't really figured out how to balance being Bruce Wayne and being Batman.
Well, yeah, in the movie, he like Alfred walks up to him talking about like his father's legacy, and he wants Bruce to meet with his like
Investors
financials and investors, and Bruce is like, no, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I felt like it was a very good portrayal of that, of both sides, of of we got the detective part of Batman, and he definitely got the hands. It's year one of Batman, so he got the hands for it. You know what I mean? But we have time to see his fighting style progress and develop, and become the Batman that that we know from the comics. A very well established Batman, a very well established Bruce Wayne. Now he's gotten the balance between being Bruce Wayne. He's gotten the balance of being Batman at the same time. His gear has upgraded. His knowledge of his foes has upgraded. I think that's also a part of the reason why he's able to get back to being Bruce Wayne, because now taking these motherfuckers down has just become too easy for him. He knows how to take out. He knows Joker. He knows Harvey. He knows the Riddler. He knows how to take them down. And so now he's like, all right, he's doing it. He's doing his shit again. He's acting up again. All right, let me go handle it. Then I got this business meeting in the morning. Let me just handle this shit real quick.
I think he's not going to be able to get his mind off Selena.
I wouldn't be able to get my mind off her either. Shit.
Yeah, I was about to say, would you be able to? I know. Channing Tatum can't.
Oh my god,
that's crazy.
You see someone speaking French right now. But my thing with that is that. But here's the thing too. Let's not forget. Bruce Wayne has never lacked for love interest. Neither is Batman. So it's like Selena Kyle's just exited. Who's to say Talia al Ghul doesn't show up? Who's to say the next villain he has to face isn't someone who's based in magic, and now Zatanna has to help?
And that would be cool because Batman, he's always been skeptical of, he's super logical, but he's logical to the point that knowing that, if, for everything that's logical, there's also an illogical explanation for things sometimes too, but he's always skeptical. He'd rather be based in the logic aspect because that means he has more control over it. He can control the outcome of a battle because of logic. But now once you start mixing in magic and shit, it can go anywhere. And especially with him not being, super powered, that's something he's always been skeptical of that shit. Because we don't know if at this point, we don't know if Superman's been introduced into this world. There was no mention of any of the other characters within the Justice League kind of universe. So we don't even know if the world's been introduced to aliens yet. We don't. And so when he goes to, he's like, maybe let me, it gets to, maybe he's in a situation where he can't, like, a fucking, Sherlock Holmes. What's Sherlock Holmes saying? What's his saying to Watson?
Elementary.
No, not elementary. The other one. Well, when he starts talking about the power of deduction and shit like that, some shit like, essentially when all the logical answers have been explored and taken out of play, the only other logical answer is the illogical.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can't remember the specific phrasing of it all, but I feel like that would be something really, really cool that they could bring to this next movie. He's faced with with the threat. They could even go like, all right, now he's like 5 years in. Year 5 Batman. He's 5 years in. He's been doing his damn thing. He's confident in shit, and then he's presented with a situation that doesn't have an answer, a logical explanation to. Thus, he ends up having to go to the illogical explanation, and that's where he ends up having to when you end up having to, he has to go to Zatanna. So the saying is, when you have eliminated the possible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. So when all else fails, when all the possible possible answers have been eliminated, you got to look at the impossible. So the possible thus becomes possible. That has to be true. So then he ends up having to go to Zatanna, even though he is very skeptical of it all. That's when he ends up getting shown, that, oh shit, this bitch knows magic. Magic is real. There are other forces out there beyond these psychopaths.
Yes.
And yeah. If you bring in Ra's al Ghul, bring in the Lazarus Pit, so on and so forth, they can bring in Zatanna, like maybe not have, she doesn't have to be like such a stronghold in the film, but she could be an advisor, somebody he goes to for mystical, or to like break down the lore of Ra's al Ghul, who he is, why he is, Lazarus Pit, all that shit. And then, have him go from there. And then have a sneak peek, maybe not show her doing any magic on screen, or maybe have like little things happen and Batman be like, the fuck was that? Have him notice, peep little
Acting
things.
suspicious.
Yeah, like little, peep little things. And then like after he leaves, then she does some kind of magic shit to solidify, oh shit, that's Zatanna type thing, No, Tank, you and these fucking ideas, dude. Man, dude, oh my god. Now I want to pick up my pad and a pen again, and I want to start writing again.
I honestly was gonna say, might not be a bad idea.
The way you said that, I was like, you know what? You're on to something. I'm about to start writing these shits down and start pitching them, man. Start writing these concepts down and start pitching them. But no, yeah, I just think that would help. So yeah, that was a massive side tangent towards the end there, but it turned from, it ended up becoming a fucking Batman conversation. God. But no, yeah. So I personally feel like Hawkman and Hawkgirl need to become stronger staples within this live action thing that they got going on. Because I'm tired of them having Superman and Martian Manhunter be the only kind of aliens that they ever really give the shine to in these live actions, and they don't even really give Martian Manhunter that much shine time in these live actions.
No. I mean, it was like it literally was a tease. Like,
yeah, a massive tease. So I would love them to bring in Hawkman and Hawkgirl, whether they want to go, they can still have them. Even then, like at the end of the movie that we surmised and put together, they can have. You can even have it that the Thanagarians, find them because let's say, they find the maces. It's made of nth metal. Nth metal is, it's from Thanagar. Let's say when they grab the maces, it sets off like a homing beacon or something on Thanagar. And then at the end of the movie, the Thanagarians come and find them and take them back to Thanagar. You know what I mean? And then they explain the entire, story and history and everything that's happened to them and the whole reincarnation shit and like that, blah, blah, blah. And thus they end up getting, now they're a part of the Thanagarian culture. You know what I mean? They've proven themselves to be strong, powerful warriors, so on and so forth. All right, you earn a spot. You earn a spot among our ranks.
See, that would make sense, and that would be a good story.
And then that's how, when it comes to the Justice League situation that you brought up there, Triage, they, they're coming to Earth because they end up finding out that, Darkseid is going to destroy Earth. They end up speaking with the Thanagarian Council, whoever's in charge. They agree, go to Earth, so on and so forth. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So that would be pretty dope. So before we round off here, any final remarks?
That even if my soul departs the earth, I shall count the days till my rebirth. I shall wait across eternity for my love to come back to me.
Deep. That was good.
Mm-hmm. That's Carter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's Carter right there. Jay. Any final remarks?
They should make a Hawkman and Hawkwoman movie.
I'd watch it.
They could do it. They could go off it.
Honestly, they could build off of Idris Hodge.
And
have it that he hasn't found Shira yet.
Nope. But he's looking.
Yeah, and he's looking, and that movie would be him finding Shira and trying to convince her that, this is who you are, this is why you have this, and this, blah 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 blah, so on and so forth.
That would be good.
They got the star power right there with Idris Hodge because everyone loves the way he portrayed Hawkman. Give more in that way. They're able to go in more detail and explain them more with their own standalone movie.
Exactly.
And then still, because his technically would be his second movie, they can bring in Hafset, or as he is as later he's known as Dr. Anton Haston. So that I think that would be really cool. But yeah, that's my final remarks. On top of also these production companies and these companies need to start catering more to their. I know there's a fine line. There's a very fine line, because at the end of the day, you're making something, you're making a work of art, and you don't, you shouldn't have to tailor your art to somebody else and their wants and their needs and stuff. But there has to be a fine line, when you're in the business of entertainment.
That's the line has to be why you're doing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I doing this? Am I doing it to truly make money, or am I doing it to give knowledge and give entertainment and a story to fans that know what they already want to see?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're in the business of entertainment, your art is to entertain, You know what I mean? And if you're providing people with art that doesn't entertain, what are you really doing? And I strongly, one of my big things that I live by is that, like, when you do what you love, the money will come.
Very true.
You know what I mean? If you love to entertain people, write that story, write that script to entertain people. And if you're worried about putting money in your pocket, if you write that script and you make that story, build that project and put that project out with passion and love first, the money's going to come. People are going to feel your love. They're going to feel your passion through your work.
That is the whole point. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So that's my final remarks. That is my message to all creatives out there. Just put it out there. Just put your work out there. Put your art out there. Put your love. Put your passion. Just put it out there. Someone is going to resonate with it. And when one person resonates, it's going to resonate with someone else, and someone else, and then someone else, and someone else, and someone else. It's going to build, and then that money is going to come into your pocket. Put your passion and put your love first. The money will come. The money will come. So that's my final remarks. Before we head on out here, we're gonna take a break. Listen to some of our friends from that are doing amazing things within the podcast universe, doing amazing things within the Blurred universe, and then we're gonna head on out. So until next time. Next week. What do you want to talk about next week, Triage?
I'll tell you what. Legacy, how about you pick?
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, he wasn't ready for that. He was
No, I was not. I was not. Can I think about it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Awesome. I will let you guys know.
Yep. Just let us know, and then we'll do our research if we don't already know about it.
Perfect.
All right. Well, tune in. It will be put out there what we're doing. Stay tuned to our Instagram. Stay tuned to our Facebook. We will let you know. And as always, remember, fuck prep time.
Fuck prep time.
Fuck prep time.
Going on, everybody? Lloyd Jones with Midnight Comics here, and we'd like to introduce you guys to our show, The Indie Breakdown, a show where we break down your favorite indie comic book characters' power, stats, and abilities, and get them ready for an eventual indie versus matchup. All Indie Breakdown episodes go live first on Spotify and on Patreon, with them eventually showing up on YouTube. So if you guys want to check out The Indie Breakdown and learn more from your favorite indie comic book creators, now's the time to do so. We hope you guys decide to tune in, and remember, until next time, midnight is coming.
Hi, I go by Lady Mandalore, the creator of Roomful of Blurs. Do you have a whiteboard in your room? Do people get a glazed over look in their eye when you start to explain things to them? Well, come join me every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we can talk comics and get to know some new creators of color, only on YouTube and Twitch.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, Calvin, from the Icarus Podcast, and I just want to say that we got new episodes coming next Saturday and every Saturday after that. So all I will have to say from here is keep enjoying the show. You can check us out, www.icarusmetrocomics.com. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and more. See y'all next time.
Join the Pulse. We're excited to announce the launch of Heartline Comics' newest line, the Barcode Collection. Our fresh drop just hit the internet and is turning heads. Imagine this. You're rocking our merch, and friends can scan the barcodes to instantly connect with the Heartline Comics website. It's a game changer. Stay ahead of the curve and never miss a beat. Subscribe to our website for exclusive alerts on the latest merch drops and the newest comics hitting the shelves. Be part of the Heartline community and show off your style with pride. Trust us, you don't want to miss this.